Today we're going to talk about my camera gear and what I take in my Roadtrek Zion SRT van. Hello YouTube. Today's going to be photography day. That is, we're going to talk about my photography gear, what I have, and what I take in the van with me, my Roadtrek Zion SRT. Many of you know, if you've followed the channel or followed me personally on Facebook, that I do a lot of photography. I really like to do wildlife photography. I have a fairly large lens here that I use. It's a Tamron 150 to 600 zoom lens, pretty good size lens, as you can see. And that's what I use for my wildlife. Now, I basically have Nikon cameras. Why? Well, because that's what I chose. Is it any better than anybody else's? No. Canon are excellent. Nikon is excellent. There are many other brands out there. I think the big two is the Canon and the Nikon. I got started with Nikon and stayed with it. My lenses are a mixture of some Nikon and then several third-party brands. I have a Tamron and a Tokina and Sigma. The rest are Nikon. I've got a total of 7 lenses, and we'll discuss those in a little bit. I've got 2 cameras. I've got the original Nikon D5100 I bought, and later I got a 7100. I haven't bought a lens or a camera in 5 years, 4.5 years. I haven't needed to. These work for me. They give me the range I want, and they cover pretty much any type of photography aspect that I may be looking into. In addition to the gear that you've just seen, and I'll show you in more detail, I also have a series of flash units, automatic flash units. I've got several of those. I've got light stands, umbrellas, backdrops. I can set up a small studio in here to do portrait photography. I can set up a desktop studio to do detailed type photography of smaller objects. So I can pretty well cover the gamut. And like most things that I've done, pretty much self-taught. And I enjoy it. It's a hobby. I enjoy it. I've got pictures hanging on the wall that I've done that I'm proud of. And I find it a very relaxing hobby, especially going out and like wildlife photography. I really enjoy that probably as much as anything. Okay, so where does that take us now? Let's take a few moments and take a detailed look at the gear that I have on the table and what each piece is, what it does, and why. And then we'll get into what I'm going to choose for use in the van. So let's move to the table and see what's here. Okay, let's look at the individual components of my basic photography kit. First off, we have the 2 cameras. I have a Nikon D7100, which is my primary camera, and I would call it a mid-range expert camera. And then I also have the D5100, which was my first camera in this series. And I'd call that a high-end beginner camera. Now, they're both good cameras. They both take very similar pictures. This is 24 megapixel here, and this is 18. And 18 is more than you need for anything else. Now let's look at the lenses. Starting at the bottom here on the left, these first 2 lenses here are what are called primes. They're a fixed focal length. This is a 35 millimeter, which would be the equivalent of about a 50. This is a crop sensor camera on a full frame camera. That would be about a 50 millimeter, which would be a very good portrait lens. As would this, which is a 50, equivalency of about an 85. These are both fixed focus. They're not zooms. What you see is what you get. They are a little bit faster lens and very sharp quality because you don't have any moving glass in them. They're excellent for that type of stuff. Now we get into my more specialty lenses. We're looking here at the Tokina. This is a wide angle, and let me see the exact specs on it here. Yes, this is 12 to 24 millimeters. So it's a very wide angle. Primarily used for scenery and also structural type photographs of tall buildings or wide buildings. Great for that stuff. Next up is my other specialty lens, which is a Sigma. This is a 105 millimeter. It's a fixed focal length. It's a macro lens. So it is made to zoom in and get you very close to the image. This is used for taking pictures of bugs, insects, small objects. I've used that for very fine detail in industrial type photographs. This is my basic all-around lens here. This is one of the Nikons that I really like. It's an 18 to 105 millimeter zoom lens. This is what I call a walk around. You put it on your camera and it covers a very wide range. 18 millimeter is down in the range of this wide angle. And then 105 takes you up into a very limited but zoom type capability. So and you've got everything in between with the zoom. Then I've got two higher end zooms. This one here is my 55 to 300 millimeter, which is a good length zoom. I use that for a lot of inside shots, dance competitions that the grandkids are in. I've used it for a lot of sporting events. It does a very good job for that. And then Big Bertha. It's my Tamron. Some people call it the Tamzuka. It's a 150 millimeter to 600 millimeter zoom lens. This is primarily used for wildlife photography, by me anyway. And pretty much anytime I go out to the wildlife refuge, this is attached to the camera. The other piece of equipment I've got here up on the desk right now is my Black Rapid strap. And we'll talk about that a little bit later, but that is a crossbody strap. Allows you to attach the camera, hang it at your hip, and rapid deploy up to your eye with one hand to take up. So it's quick shooting if you're out in the field. I really like it. There are other types of straps like that, but if you have any interest in something like that, look up Black Rapid. Now that you've seen the range of the 7 lenses that I have, I'd like to show you a few photographs that I've taken over the years with each of the different lenses. I may not include them all, but I'll include the primary ones, the macro, the wide angle, and the I call Big Bertha the big zoom lens, so you can see a comparison of what their capabilities are. Let's take a look at those now. Okay, now that you've seen the accumulation of gear, there's no way I'm taking all of this in the van, especially the big 600. Now, if I was going to go on a specific trip that was taking me to a wildlife location, yes, I would pack that lens. But on normal day-to-day basis, I do not need to carry that lens with me around in the van on a regular basis. So what I've done is I've looked at the combination of gear that I have, and understanding, as we all know, Class B camper vans, Roadtrek is no different. My Zion SRT is as rough as it comes to find extra storage space. I call it limited real estate. So what you take, you got to be able to use, and if you're not going to use it, there's no sense taking it because you have limited space. You might as well devote it to something that you're going to use. So what I've done is I've sat down and I've analyzed these lenses. I've looked at what I need, and I've selected a kit that basically is going to do pretty much anything I would need on a regular day-to-day basis when I'm out in the van. Now keep in mind, and most of us are like this, we've all got the infamous cell phone, and they all have good cameras. So a lot of my pictures are just snapshots. Those are done with the cell phone. I'm not going to kid you. I use that as much as anybody else. But when I want to get a good picture, a nice scenic wide angle, something of a nice building, piece of wildlife, something out in nature, I'm going to go and use the equipment that I've got. So what I've done is I took my oldest camera, which is right here, which is the Nikon D5100, 18 megapixel, and I've taken what I consider my prime walk-around lens. This is an 18 millimeter to 105 millimeter zoom. Covers all kinds of aspects of photography. And I can take this, it's a bayonet mount, you throw it on here and I'm locked and loaded, ready to go. And this is perfect for everyday use. Now, on the occasion that I do need a little bit longer range, maybe I see some wildlife or something I want to get in a little closer, well, I've got the 150 to 3, actually 55, excuse me, 55 to 300 zoom lens. That I can take. Those two lenses right there give me a pretty good range from 18 millimeters up to 300 millimeters. That covers the gamut of everything that was on this desk except for macro and super wide and of course the super zoom. But in these two lenses, I've pretty much got it all. So that's what I've chosen to take with me. And it's pretty easy. They pack up reasonably well. I have a small bag. And then I'm going to take this strap, the Black Rapid. And that hitches to the camera, lets me do on a crossbody type situation, and it's at my hip. I can reach over, the camera is hanging at my hip, and I can just reach over and grab it and pull it right up like this without even taking it off, and then lower it to my hip. It's a perfect strap. I highly endorse the Black Rapid strap. There's other brands do the same thing. Many of them are cheaper. Black Rapid was one of the originals. Now I've got a few photographs here, 4 of them, that I've taken with the gear that goes in the van, and I will show them to you. They show you the ranges of the lenses from the 18 millimeter to the 105, and then the 55, which is an overlap. It'll fit in the middle and then carries me out to 300, and it'll show you the ranges of those two lenses and what type of photos that I can get and how I can zoom in with those. So let's take a look at those now. Okay, now that we've selected what we're taking with us in the van, let's see how we pack it. So this is the case I use. It's not real large, as you can see, but it's beefy enough. In this pocket here, I'm able to carry some cleaning materials. I also have the battery charger and a spare battery. So that's with me in the van. I take my Nikon with the walk-around lens attached, and that drops right into this compartment here in the bag. The telephoto drops over here, and then I can take the Black Rapid strap and just tuck it in right here in the top. And at that point, zip this, pull the flap over, and pretty much good to go at that point. Got a couple latches on the bag here, and I can just take that off and walk it right on over to the van. And I store it in the compartment over the bed. I've got one side that is for clothes. The other side holds some odds and ends, some tools, some of my electronic gear. It also holds the drone and the camera over that side compartment. Okay, that's about it, folks. That's what I have and what I choose to take in the van. I pretty much keep that bag in the van all the time unless I need one of those pieces of equipment for something else. I'll go out to the driveway and pull it out, but I pretty much can cover with the other lenses what I need. Well, there's one other lens. I don't remember the exact length of it. It was something like a 24 to 210 or something like that Nikon makes that it's an older lens. If I ever ran across one of those used at a good price, I'd probably pick it up, and it would be the walk-around camera on my other Nikon. That would give me a walk-around for each camera. But that's about the only piece of equipment I kind of covet at the moment. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was interesting. A little bit about the photography and then the equipment that I take in the van. I hope it helps you in your decisions as you either enter into photography or try to pack some gear into the van. And hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for taking time to watch. If you have an interest in watching future videos or any of my past ones, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe. Hit like if you like this particular video. And if you've got any questions about the photography equipment I have, what I use it for, how I use it, or even a suggestion for another video, please make that in the comments. I'd greatly appreciate it, and I will promise to try to get back to you as quick as I can. Again, thank you for watching. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.